Hello and welcome to FoundHER Voice podcast. I'm your host, Valerie. I am the founder and CEO of FoundHER Circle, where women entrepreneurs connect, empower, and thrive. I'm also a business coach and wellness advocate deeply passionate about helping women rise. I believe every woman has a story and a voice. No woman was created for silence. Yet many were taught to quiet themselves. This podcast is where that changes. I share my microphone with women who have built businesses and stepped boldly into their calling. When you share your story, you give another woman permission to believe she can too. Ready to amplify your voice? Join FoundHER Circle or explore opportunities via the link in the notes. This is more than a conversation, it's a movement. Welcome to FoundHER Voice podcast.
Hey everybody, we're back with FoundHER Voice podcast. Today I'm sitting down with April and Callie. They have a nonprofit out of Lexington. How are you ladies today?
Doing great, thank you.
Good.
Yep, I'm great.
Good. So April, Callie, I want you guys to, share about why you started this nonprofit, the name of it, where it's located, and then we're going to talk about all the good things you guys are doing and the things that are coming up, okay?
Yeah, so thank you for having us. My name is April Edwards. I am the CEO and co-founder of Peacefully Whole Recovery. We're a 501c3 nonprofit based in really central Kentucky. We serve a wide area in central Kentucky. And I am a person in long-term recovery. It's always been a subject that I'm really passionate about. And I got into this work because I have, in addition to battling substance use disorder, which I will have 10 years off of opiates and 5 years off of meth, I also have co-occurring post-traumatic stress disorder. And for me, a lot of years, that was kind of a driver of my behaviors, and substances really became a way to cope with the trauma and the stress from that. Along the way, I got really intrigued in the mind-body connection, and a lot of things that helped me on my recovery journey was things that helped not just my mental health, but my physical health. I have done a lot of therapy around my post-traumatic stress disorder, and that really opened up a doorway for me to be able to make some real change in my life and not feel the need to cope so much, but also having more tools in my toolbox to deal with stress and anxiety. And a lot of that, like I said, has been tools to help with my physical health, changing my diet and making sure that I move my body. And yoga has been like a huge thing for me on my journey, learning just tools to help regulate my nervous system. And so I really found a passion for that, and found a passion for sharing that with others and making sure that people have tools in their toolboxes in conjunction with maybe medication that they might be on, or therapy, or support groups, as many tools as possible to help people. That's what we need. So
Yes. Callie, how about you, my dear?
I am a person in long-term recovery. I was born and raised in Lexington, and when I was 18, I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, and they put me on birth control for it, which triggered a hypercoagulation disorder. And I ended up in the hospital with a double pulmonary embolism at 18. And at that point, going forward, I had complicated medical history and a chronic pain disorder. The only thing that any doctor in the entire state of Kentucky would do in 2003 was throw more painkillers at it. A teenager putting me, I was on Percocet essentially for cramps as an 18-year-old. So my addiction did not come on super fast. It didn't come on overnight. I was, shaking dope sick in my dorm bed before I even knew what that was. And, I got to the point where I was tired of it. I was tired of being constantly sick. I was tired of, my mom spending thousands on thousands of dollars every day just to keep me well. I mean, I wasn't even well at that point. So, yeah. So anyway, so she sent me to California to go to a rehab. And it was there that I was put on Suboxone. And part of the treatment out there was Tai Chi twice a week, acupuncture twice a week, massage therapy twice a week, aqua therapy twice a week, group therapy, individual trauma therapy twice a week, and then daily NA, AA meetings. It was a wide variety. I experienced the definition of holistic recovery, and it's the only time that I've had to go. When I came back to Kentucky, I kept trying to push it on people. I'm like, why don't you do Tai Chi? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Well, it wasn't available. It wasn't cheap, and it's still not covered by Medicaid. But yeah.
So when did you guys start your nonprofit?
So we were founded in 2004, and spent the next year pretty much doing all the things to get a nonprofit up and running. A lot of legwork. And we've really been in this full operation for maybe the past year or so. A while,
Yeah.
really. Callie saw me when I was still using, and we knew each other back then, and then we knew each other in recovery. So we've seen a lot of sides to each other, and it's really developed into really a beautiful friendship and partnership, I feel like, because we've seen both sides of that and seen the growth in each other. And now we've developed a nonprofit together. And Callie's been there through a lot, for me, and helped me when I was getting off of a medication that I was at a point where I could barely leave the house, because it's kind of a long story, but I had been misdiagnosed over a few years by mental health professionals who did not realize that what I had was complex PTSD, and instead I got a long list of diagnoses that I didn't have, and was way over medicated for a long period of time. But in going through prolonged exposure therapy, I was able to come off of a bunch of medications that I'd been on. And Callie was really a big support for me as I was coming off of those medications, and helped me kind of reintegrate back into the world. So I'm really grateful for that.
That's good. And you started in
2024.
2024. Okay. Good deal. And you're located in Lexington. Well, your nonprofit's actually in Lexington, right? Or do you just go everywhere?
I know we're transient.
Yeah, we don't have a base location yet. We're working on it. Keyword. But we serve most of central Kentucky. So right now we just kind of go where we're needed. So we partner with inpatient, outpatient treatment facilities, sober living homes, recovery community centers, and other recovery organizations to bring holistic wellness modalities and education to their clients. So we offer massage, acupuncture, yoga, breathwork, nutritional counseling, chiropractic screenings, seeking safety facilitation, and meditation mindfulness practices.
That's wonderful. So are you guys just connecting and collaborating with these like therapists, and then like you said, like breathing work, massage, going into a space, and then having a group of people come in to partake in that?
Yeah, so we partner with organizations and facilities to bring these modalities directly to their clients. So a lot of these modalities are not covered by insurance. Some of them can be kind of pricey, coming out of pocket, and that leaves really a wide wellness gap. Especially for the people that really need it the most. Coming off of drugs is hard, and it's painful, and you have anxiety, and your mood is not the best. I mean, withdrawal is hard, and especially coming off of opiates, that can be really painful. And, these modalities have been proven to help with some of that. Like their acupuncture, there's a specific protocol that was especially designed for acute heroin withdrawal. Can help with cravings and pain and all kinds of things. Massage can help with detox, can help with anxiety, symptoms of PTSD, such as dissociation and hypervigilance, and insomnia. Yoga can help people learn how to regulate their nervous systems, can help with sleep, anxiety, breath work, same thing. It's really just about giving people more tools in their recovery toolboxes to use in conjunction with other things that they're using. Maybe they're in treatment. Maybe they're on medication for opioid use disorder or other medications to help along their recovery journey, or in therapy, or again, support groups, which are all great tools. But oftentimes we leave the body out of the conversation and treat mental health and some substance use from the neck up and forget that this is a whole unit that works together. 95% of our serotonin is produced in the gut. We store trauma in our bodies. So many people that, struggle with opioid use disorder are also battling chronic pain. And that's another thing, is that we also really need to have other solutions for pain and dealing with pain rather than opioids.
Love that. So what do you guys have planned coming up for this year?
Oh, it's really exciting. This is going to be our year. So we've just made some really amazing partnerships this year. Voices of Hope in Lexington, Mary's House in Richmond. We've partnered with Revive Chiropractic to offer chiropractic screenings in Lexington. Helping Evolve Recovery out of Louisville. We host their Tuesday night women's virtual meetings. We've partnered with Centered Holistic Health. And we're also, me and Callie are being trained right now by the Prison Yoga Project so that by May, we can take yoga into jails and prisons in Kentucky, because that's a seriously underserved population, and that is a stressful environment to be in. I have personal experience being in jail, and there's not a lot of rehabilitation that goes along with that. And I'm a firm believer that we can't treat trauma with more trauma. So just giving people more tools to help with their nervous systems in those kinds of stressful environments, can be invaluable. And they can take that outside when they are released, if they hopefully get released, to be able to deal with life, because life can be stressful and we all need as many tools as we can get. And then soon, in the summer, we are currently in the planning stages of a community wellness and recovery event. So stay tuned for more details about that, but we're super excited about that and have some amazing partnerships and organizations that are going to be involved in that and offering their services as well. So really just trying to open this up to the community as much as we can, open up access to some of these services as much as we can.
Yes, that's very important. And I love everything that you girls are doing. And we all learn from our mistakes, right? So I feel like, women that have been through this are the best individuals to go help another woman. Because, you're going to be like, I've been there. I've been in your shoes, but at the end of the day, I always use that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, right? So I guess my question is going to be, how long does it take for someone to actually take the help that you are giving?
Well, that's a good question.
I feel like it's hard.
That's a good question.
That's a loaded question.
Well, let me say this. So let me read you SAMHSA's definition of recovery.
Okay.
So, SAMHSA's definition of recovery is a process of change through which individuals improve their health and wellness, live a self-directed life, and strive to reach their full potential. Now, for me, my recovery wasn't a one and done kind of thing. It took a lot of steps to get to where I'm at today. It took a lot of things. It took medication for me. Buprenorphine saved my life at one point. Methadone saved my life at one point. Psych meds saved my life at one point. But also the therapy, support groups, having a supportive community, but really doing the inner work. That's really what a lot of it was, the excavation of why I'm doing what I'm doing. For a long time I was on a path of self-destruction, and a lot of it was just that I didn't know how to cope with what I was fighting in my head. The darkness of trauma. And for me, it was a sexual assault, several of them. That and combat are very, very high on the, causing PTSD. But yet we don't talk about that a whole lot in our society because it's taboo or it makes people uncomfortable. But I feel like we need to talk about it as much as possible because there are so many people that struggle with this that are maybe scared to talk about it just because of the stigma. But it really was a process for me. It was like peeling layers off an onion, to find out what's underneath of it. And it's not a one size fits all kind of thing. Like we really need more individualized care. And people need to be treated as individuals and their conditions as individuals, because not every method is going to work for everybody. I'm really Callie and I both are a big advocate for many pathways of recovery. And for me, I was in recovery way long before I reached abstinence. Like, that wasn't always my goal. My goal was to get better one day at a time, and for me, a lot of that took support from medications and just growing one day at a time and not being so focused on this cookie cutter method. So it took many things to get me to where I am today. And it wasn't a one size fit all kind of situation. It was like peeling layers off an onion to find what's underneath and really to do the shadow work and the work, to really look at my behaviors and the drivers of that. But also harm reduction was a big thing for me. Like I wouldn't be alive if it weren't for harm reduction.
Callie, April, what would you say is the best thing to help you guys right now? Since you've been clean, like what helps you keep your stress down and like keep going every day?
Showing up. Showing up for other people, showing up for myself, knowing like unequivocally that what we're doing makes a difference. These are treatment methods that have been around for centuries, and they were stigmatized because they weren't profitable for a certain industry. So now, it was labeled as, woo-woo and whatever. But the bottom line is they worked for centuries and they continued to work. It doesn't matter what the outside opinion is of it. It's factual. It works. It's something that needs to be a part of treatment. We need to stop throwing pills at every problem and not actually addressing the root cause. And I would say, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but I would say almost every, if not every single one, almost every single person in addiction has trauma. So you are not going to solve the addiction unless you cure and heal the trauma. If you do not, address that at any point in your life, not only are you, holding on to that trauma, you're potentially passing it on to your own kids.
Yep. And it's time that you cut the chain. You got to cut the chain. You got to stop the generational curse. And I preach that so many times to, not only women, but men too. Because who wants to continue down that same path, generation after generation? And it can stop with you, but I always feel like, you have to say, this stops here. I'm not passing this on anymore.
Yep.
Right.
And you have to get uncomfortable. Like if you are not uncomfortable at any point, you are not healing. You have to get uncomfortable in order to grow.
Yep. And I always feel like, too, a lot of people do not want to take accountability for their actions, especially today, right? They're just like, oh, they always want to blame someone else for something, or something didn't go their way, so let's take the easy way out, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to know, ladies, do you have like classes coming up, like weekly classes, bi-weekly, monthly classes that, if anybody wants to join or partake in or support or maybe donate, how do they do this?
Yeah, so we host Helping Evolve Recovery's women's support group meetings on Tuesday nights at 8. For any women in recovery that is interested, you can visit the Helping Evolve Recovery Facebook page, and they will have the meeting links there. Okay. And like I said, we're also planning an event for the community here coming up in the summer. And then for anybody that wants to donate, we have a website. It's peacefullyWhole.org. There's a support page on there. And there's a link to our PayPal, to our Venmo, our Better Worlds page. And we really can't do this without the support of the community. We are working on grants right now, but we really rely on donations and the generosity of the community to do this. And this is really important work. There's so many people in this community doing important work. We're not the only ones. But this is a little different than what is typically offered. And I mean, kind of to what Callie was saying, our medication is a great tool. But it shouldn't be our only tool. And people need as many options as possible to help support their recovery, because everybody is different and they're all
it's a tool. It's not the solution. And that's, people, as soon as they start feeling comfortable, they stop working. And that's when things get dangerous, because you just, I figured it out. I don't feel sick anymore. It's like, okay, well, you didn't feel sick when you started using in the first place. So maybe not.
It really is a continual effort and continual growth. And there is so much to say about giving back to and service work and supporting other people in recovery. Because like they say, you can't keep what you have without giving it away. And I truly, truly believe that. But yeah, for anybody that's interested in donating, please visit our website, go to our support page. There's several methods and ways to donate. We also have a Facebook page if anybody wants to follow us on Facebook. And stay tuned for our community event coming up in the summer, and there will be more announcements about that. And I wanted to say one thing too, recovery is really like a holistic thing. It's mind, body, spirit, right? If somebody is living on the streets and they don't feel safe, it's going to be a lot harder for them to sustain recovery than if they have a safe place to rest their head. Housing is a huge part of it. Affordable housing, access to health care, access to being able to see a doctor, being able to advocate for yourself. I mean, it's all so tied together. So it really is just a holistic, we really need to take a more holistic approach and make sure that people are set up for success, not only, with their mental health and access to to therapy. A lot of it also is not covered by insurance and can be expensive. So making sure that people have the resources that they need to succeed is super important.
Mm-hmm. All right, ladies, I got one last question. What do you guys need right now?
Honestly, money.
Okay.
Funding,
Funding.
raising awareness about our cause. Yeah,
Okay.
it's really.
Yeah, the financial support is what we need the most. We have, we have the practitioners, we have the support, we have the platform. We just have to be able to pay our practitioners to be able to continue working. And the facilities that we do work with are, we're seeing success, and it's every time. And why wouldn't you want that to be a part of your program?
Yes. And I'm
And
going to say one other thing that you need is a brick and mortar.
brick and mortar in that too. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're
If
expanding
anybody wants to donate an office to us, we'll take it gladly, or land.
and expanding our partnerships too. That's one thing that we've really been working on because we can't do this in a silo. And we're really also working on, breaking down the barriers and reducing the stigma because there's still a lot of stigma. There's a lot of great work that's being done, but there's a lot of stigma around people with substance use disorders, and anybody can become addicted. It's brain chemistry.
It does not discriminate.
It doesn't. Some of us are more predisposed to it, of course, with trauma and environment and all that, and genetics. But ultimately, anybody can get addicted. And we really want to see more of an inclusive environment for different pathways of recovery. This is a solution that cannot be solved, or this is a problem that cannot be solved with jail time. We need to approach this with love and compassion and resources. And yes, we've seen a decline in opioid deaths over the past 3 years, but now is not the time to pull back funding.
That's misleading information, though, because yes, we have seen a decline in white Americans, but we're seeing an increase in African American females. So saying that we're really succeeding in preventing overdose deaths it's misleading, and it's not time to stop the work. It's time to bear down and press on the pedal.
Right. Yes. And until everyone is benefiting and everyone is seeing the benefits of that, then we can't really say that we have a victory because not everybody is seeing that decline in overdose deaths. So we really need to expand reach and resources to people that might not be getting it.
We need to stop punishing people for becoming symptomatic of a disease that they have. We keep expecting people to be cured of their disease before we'll even provide services, and that is the most backwards logic I have ever heard. If you're already doing good, what do you need services for? Recovery is a journey. It's not a business.
And we need to meet people where they're at. And approach it with love and compassion. That's what people need the most. When we're out there, we do not feel good about ourselves. We don't have high self-esteem. We burn a lot of bridges, and it was really the people that showed me unconditional love and reached their hands out to help were the people that saved my life. Like, I thank God every day for my mom who never gave up on me and, was like, why don't you go try buprenorphine? And that saved my life. And I really truly believe that I wouldn't be here today if it hadn't been for those people who loved me through it and loved me back to life.
I love it. Well, ladies, thank you so much for being a guest on FoundHER Voice podcast and sharing, about this nonprofit. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Make sure you check out the advertisements after this, and I'll see you next week.
It's your time to grow. Get started with Little Pot Design Studio today.